Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are going to talk about Gestalt today. What is Gestalt? We're going to dig deep into that. And we have an expert on that. She is very experienced in it. Let me just say, Gestalt is helping a lot of people in ways you would never even imagine. And Kathy Slagter joins us once again. She's with Neigh.com. The Neigh part, I'm giving you a little bit of a clue about the Gestalt thing there, but I'm not even going to say any more. I know what it is. Why don't you tell everybody else? Gestalt, what exactly is Gestalt?
Yeah, so I am an equine Gestalt recovery coach or sober coach or life coach, however you want to phrase it. But the important part is the Gestaltist. So I started out in a 2-year program. And from there, I went to another 2-year program learning about Gestalt. So what attracted me the most to working in this modality was the fact that it's about an awareness around who we are, what we are, where we came from, what's ahead of us, but it's in the here and now in our life, which, you know, I work with horses, and horses are, they live in this here and now. They live in the present. They don't have the mindset like we do. They don't go with what would we have done? What should we have done? This is what I've done, the blame, the shame, or the forward, like, oh, if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, that will happen. And how important it is for us as humans to be in this moment of total awareness of what's around us. And how during a day, for me even, you know, I take in my awareness. I take in not only looking at things and feeling into my body, but also like the touching of things, just really feeling what it feels like to touch even your hands together. You know, rubbing your hands together while you're trying to be in the present moment gets you back to your here and your now. So, you know, there's horse assisted therapy, which is great. And anything that involves a horse, you know, I'm for. What's the difference between them and us, or myself, my program, or Melissa Pierce's program, which is Touched by a Horse, is we look at the individual pieces that you're not even aware of when you come into the arena with us. And what does that mean? How can you work on something that you're not aware of, right? I mean, how do I know that? So let's say that you know, you have a puzzle and you drop it out on the ground, right? And each piece is upside down or all in a pile. There might be a piece over on the table that might have even dropped on the ground. Well, in order to put that puzzle all together, you have to, you know, I usually start with the outside, and then I start picking in and putting the pieces in the inside. And each piece is unique. Each piece is, you know, has its own little picture on it. And we have to study that piece in order to put it into this puzzle, right? So if that was our individual pieces of ourselves, that's what we have to do to put ourselves, let's say, back together. So, you know, Steve, what are you aware of that, you know, that maybe is a painful thing in your life that, you know, that if you looked at it a little deeper, you don't have to be very specific, but if you looked at it a little deeper and find out what the root of it was, do you think that it would change how you looked at it, how you viewed it, how you presented it out to, you know, to the world?
100%. Not even a question in my mind. And I've identified that thing goes back to my childhood. I've already connected those dots. That brings me to where I am here. But yes, to your point, totally different view. And that's, you know, it's a work in progress. I'm aware of it. Like many of us are, and like many of our character traits go back to our childhood, even
Right.
before we were 7 years old.
Yeah. You can go back to, when I had my first son, he came out into the world and I was grateful to have him. He was a blessing. I was holding him. I was loving him. But let's say there's somebody else that has a baby. Maybe she's 16. Maybe she got raped. Maybe she's alone. Maybe she's in a hostile relationship already. And that baby doesn't come out to this love-filled area. It already goes home to stress and overwhelm and all that kind of stuff. And that's puzzle piece number one. And do we carry that all the way through our lives? Do you think a child who is laying in her bed crying and somebody comes up to her and says, "Oh, hey baby, I'm so sorry you're crying. What can I help you with?" to, "Oh my God, we just shut up." There's two different ways that some babies receive their first words, their first reactions, their first, all those kind of things. And that changes who we are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm going to pose a question to you, Kathy.
Mhm.
Now you have many years of alcohol abuse, call it that.
Mhm.
Do you think that came from your childhood?
My childhood, my parents didn't drink, but for my kids, my kids, I drank, obviously. I remember being in the hospital. Not only did I go the 9 months without drinking, which was very, very difficult for me, but I did it because there was a bigger thing that I wanted to accomplish. But when my child was born, I was trying to decide whether, sorry to say, breastfeeding or not, or bottle feeding. I chose bottle feeding because I knew that if I breastfed, I wouldn't have to drink. I couldn't drink again. So some little decision like that, that was part of my alcoholism. It was more important to me than feeding my son or my daughters, breast milk. But for me, I do believe that my drinking started because I was a shy, quote unquote, child. And
But do you think that goes back to your childhood?
I
Like
do, for
your
sure.
upbringing, where it all began? Yeah. Yeah.
I was born 11 months after my brother. So there's two sisters, a brother, and then me. So the brother was the focus of the attention. He was the, "Oh, I got a son finally, yay." Even though my parents loved me dearly, and I would never say they didn't, I always felt that competition of, I'm not a boy. I'm not,
Hmm.
he's a basketball player and he's all-star, and I'm a cheerleader and I'm fourth on the ring. I'm not the star cheerleader. I was always in my mind a little less than my brother. So, I learned that in my life. I learned to try to maybe show up differently than what I felt inside. I felt less than inside. So when I drank, I could show up and feel like I was more than.
Hmm.
So my puzzle pieces weren't negative and all that. It was like, I'm not enough, or I need to change, or I need to be more. I need, there were words that I was feeding myself way back then that changed who I was as I grew up. And in there, I chose to drink to give myself confidence. Did I know that when I got sober? No, I didn't have any awareness over the fact that, that was why I think a big part of my drinking career. It went into so many stages of my life to drink in order to show up in a way that I felt like I had to show up. There's rules around showing up. And, I didn't like the rules that my body was telling me, that my personality really truly is. I didn't like those rules. So I tried to change them. And changing them, I guess with the drinking, it wasn't enough to have a couple drinks after a while. I had to have 3 or 4 to change it. And then, 3 or 4 became a 6-pack, or, it changed how I tried to show up in the world. And the Gestalt part of my program for me allowed me to go back and be, let's say I'm 12 years old, and to look at my family at that and who I was and how I stood up and what maybe my other family members even thought of me, which is huge to think about what other people think about you at a young age, even growing up, you know? I don't know, Gestalt is such an awareness about our past so that we can show up in our present self bigger. I don't know if that's even a good word for it, but does
Well,
more
bigger.
whole, more whole, you know, that's what
Yeah.
health is, wholeness too. So more whole, you know.
Well, when you think about it, why do we do certain things, whether it's addictions, whether it's anxiety, whatever it might be, because you don't feel whole. So you're making up for it in whatever ways. It could just be, I can't cope with things because something's missing within. And
Right.
yeah, I think whole is a
That
really good word.
puzzle piece. And
Yeah.
you know, you might not even be aware. You've mentioned, I think, when you were like, maybe go back to 7 years old or something like that, something happened big in your life. But you might not even be aware of what that was until
Sure.
you stop and think about it. You know, I know somebody that was in, I don't know, I would say in a loud family dynamic, you know, arguing and yelling and screaming. That wasn't my dynamic. My family dynamic was really quiet. When they got mad, they got quiet. When this other person's life got loud, and so he had to become louder in order to be heard. But you don't know that unless you really dive into and look to what it was like to be that young kid at that age in a loud, that's just what you expect your life to look like.
Mhm.
You know, it might, I don't want my life like that. Well, that's what you know. You go back to what you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
And
really
the
is.
fault is being very aware of what you know and wanting to change that side of you. That's why I love it so much. Is the horses, I think inside, we all know the answers, right? But we don't know how to get it out. And the horses offer that vibration. They give that vibration, or they feel that vibration inside of us, that even if it's a tiny little piece that we're trying to put in, they can feel that tiny little piece in, and it can grow as it's coming out and discussing it and talking about it. And they're just, you have maybe a slight little thought of something, a slight thought about what your true awareness is, but yet you let it go because that's how you've always coped with things, right?
Yep.
But the horse can come to you at that moment. It'll trot right over to you and say, and I see that horse come over. Even you don't know what it's doing, why it came over, but I can stop you at that moment and say, hey, let's just stop for a second. And I want you to become aware of what you were thinking of 2 minutes before you changed your mind and thought of something different. What was that thought? And that's the moment that you start to you put a transformation into, who that can change everything, that can transform your awareness. And it's so powerful to be able to watch how a horse responds to just even a smidget of a thought in our heads that we've told ourselves to get over it, to forget about it. But then we'll then go back to that and we'll really look at it. I'll unfold it in a book. You'll unfold it in a book. I just direct you. But if you were to unfold your past and really look at it, you can see where and why and how it began. And you could have some sympathy for yourself. Maybe you have some sympathy for your parents.
Mm.
The mother that was 16 and she was overwhelmed and she didn't know what to do, and her parents were mad at her and didn't treat her well, and she lost, everything. But here's this baby. a lot of that energy went to that baby, and that could be you. But if you were to put yourself into that mom's position after you're older and understand it, you can't, I'm not saying forget what she did, forget how she handled it, because she was in charge of her own life. But maybe there's something around that you can get some compassion for, or some empathy for, in a little different view than, yeah, my mom was 16 and she wasn't ready for me. That's a big statement in itself.
It's almost as if the horse calls you out on it.
Yes.
It's like you can't BS the horse. The horse knows it's picking up on your energy. It knows something's going on there. And it's coming over to you and saying, hey, what are you thinking about? Why are you worried about that?
Right. Melissa also says that they're lie detectors.
Oh,
Because inside, that's what a lie detector does, is it
Yeah.
The answer, even though your voice says it differently, the inside of your body, the energy inside of your body knows the answer. So that's what a lie detector does, but that's what a horse does, is it can feel that energy current of happiness, of truth, of sadness, of,
Sure.
and how powerful is that compared to sitting across, if you and I were on a Zoom call and we were in therapy, I couldn't feel that energy from you, but the horse surely does, which helps us to be able to dive into that, that awareness again. I'm going to say the awareness of it, that we hid from ourselves. We hide so much from ourselves, and I did too. And I'm not saying that being called shy was the only reason I drank, but I just come to realize how much of that person wanted to not be, I didn't want to be shy. I hated that word for some reason. I hated how it made me feel. And, I hated wanting to be in the middle of a group, but not feeling confident. So I'm backing up and staying in the background and afraid to voice what I feel or voice what I want to say, because I'm afraid they're going to, say, what, you're not making sense. I was always afraid. I would lived in a state of fear about how I would look or come off to other people. But again, if I had a couple drinks in me, well, you better watch out, because I'm going to tell you how I feel.
Yeah. Well, you didn't feel whole, and we used that word before, and we all cope in different ways. Some people just go numb. I'm going to just shut it down. That's it. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with that. Problem presents itself, numb, not going to deal. Others, it's alcohol. It could be other substances, whatever it might be. We all have a different way of dealing with it. I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, because you need to deal with it. You got to find a way to deal with it. And, sometimes it takes its toll on you. But I love the fact that the horse knows. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
even, to a small degree, like I'll go home, and if I'm having a bad day or I got a lot going on my mind, my dog will look at me a certain way, and I know he's picking up on my energy. He doesn't have the same ability to do that a horse does, but he's feeling that energy. I know there's no way he can look at my eyes and say, oh, you're sad. No,
Right.
it's not. He's picking up on something,
Oh,
just like the horse does. It's pretty
right.
amazing.
Right. I was just having a conversation with another woman on the phone, actually, and she had a cat with her. And the cat was just meowing and loud. And I mean, she was telling me about some stuff that was going on in her life. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that cat is definitely telling you something. What is it telling you? So in her home, you have a dog, she had a cat. They speak in ways that we don't understand. But if we think about it, we might understand what they're trying to say. I have a little dog that will, if I cry, she'll come and want to lay on my chest. She just wants to be there for me. Or I could put words into that feeling of, I got you, Kathy. I'm here for you. And horses can do the same thing. They come up to you, they can put their head on your shoulder, they could bow down, they could put their head down completely in front of you. And that's a sign of respect for you and honoring you And, you coming into my arena might not know that, but I would see the horse possibly do something like that. And ask you, what might the horse be honoring you about right now in this moment? What do you think the horse is honoring you about? And it stops a person to think about the goodness that's inside of them, the goodness that they give out, that they're giving themselves or they're giving out, or a big aha moment that, again, maybe they're afraid to voice. Because, there's so many times that if we voice something, it might not be heard in the way that we really want it to be heard. It might even sound, like she thinks too much of herself, or, whatever, but it's something that, people in general just have a really, really hard time finding and believing in the beautiful parts of themselves.
Yeah.
They can believe in those bad parts, that's out there. The world is ready to tell you, you are a loudmouth, you are rude, you are mean, you are, stressed. I can see that.
But you don't need the world doesn't have to do that. You do it to yourself. You did it to yourself.
Yes, for sure. I told myself I wasn't enough and I needed to show up a little bigger somehow.
Yeah.
I know how to do that on my own. No one ever taught me how to show up, or even that I needed to. I'm showing up as Kathy, whatever she is. And if I'm a quiet person and I don't like to be in crowds, I too, as a young teen, needed to look at myself and say, that's okay. I don't have to be a boisterous person. I have two sisters, complete opposite. One is, oh, hi, how are you? This is so-and-so's brother, sister's, cousin's, nephew, son, and all that. She knows everything about everybody and she loves that, and then the other sister is more like me, which is more like, yeah, I know that person and I'm going to say hi to them, but I don't need to know their cousins, brothers, sisters, wives, nephews thing, that kind of stuff. But that's important to one sister and it's not to the other. That doesn't make either of them wrong or, rude or whatever it is. But sometimes the outgoing one can feed into the one that's not outgoing, and it could go the opposite. I got called a bitch. I'm going to say that because I was quiet. I got called rude. I got called all these names because of my quietness. And I was none of those things. I was simply a woman that didn't know, a girl that didn't know or have confidence in her voice.
Yep. And
And
just
then there was other people that had so much confidence that it was easier for me to back up and just let them talk.
Yep. And maybe, I don't want to put it on our parents, but that may be part of it as well, that we didn't have the tools to deal with that or how to navigate that. And unfortunately, when we pass that on to our kids, we didn't learn it. So then they're probably not going to learn it unless we corrected it and we're aware of it.
Yeah, we didn't have the awareness around it. My mom and dad they didn't know anything different.
Right.
It was okay to say that, it was okay to excuse, I'm sorry that my daughter's shy.
Right.
That's not okay. And it really is not okay to say that, and I don't know, at this moment, what do you say when a child's shy? You don't have to say you're sorry for them. You can, you just say, he's quiet at the moment, don't make them. My mom used to always make them come and love me and hug me. No, they'll come to you when they're ready. And my grandkids, if they don't want to come up and give me a kiss when I see them, because I haven't seen them in a while, then that's okay. But before I leave, they're hugging me.
Well, you know what? As they should. And I see a lot of kids give their parents a kiss goodbye, even if they're just going to the movies, and say, I love you. It's
right.
What?
I did that all my life, but there's families that don't do that.
You're absolutely right.
It's like, get the heck out of here before, I don't want to see your face anymore. That's how they feel as they're leaving. They're grateful I'm leaving.
Right.
or they just don't know how to show that they love them. That could be it too. They don't feel comfortable giving the hugs and the kisses and I love you and good nights and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's again, the awareness over the fact that my parents didn't do that. Does that make it wrong?
Not at all. No.
No, it just makes it different than how somebody else grew up.
That's all. And maybe
they can introduce it to themselves and to other people differently. Sorry.
No, I'm agreeing 100% with you. My parents are the same. It's just the way that they were brought up, and that's the way they brought you up and me. And, unfortunately, sometimes that has an impact on a kid. So later in life, the kid may take a certain direction. And there's no manual for being a parent. So who knew?
Right.
There was no way to correct that at that time. It's just now we have to make up for it and be aware of it. And, more and more, the research has been done that, what happened in your childhood kind of dictates your future. Unfortunately.
It does. Yeah. Like I said, they're all pieces. So as we grow up, those pieces of the puzzles get broken or get dropped or get bruised or battered or
out of place from the puzzle,
right? And there's the other ones that are the happy and the sad and the beautiful and the joyful and all that, but those are the ones that keep us moving, but the other ones keep us stuck.
Yep.
And
and for that there's Gestalt. So tell everybody how you help people with horses.
Yeah, so my name is Kathy with a K, Kathy at oneneighhatatime.com. I'd love for you to contact me, and the first consult is free. We just chat about how the horses and I could help you. Go to my website at www.oneneighhatatime.com, and you can just click on the link to send me an email there too. So love to see you, love to start a conversation, and let's become aware together. It's fun with the horses.
And virtually, if somebody wants some counseling, let's say they're listening, watching, and they just feel a connection, you do that as well, right?
Oh, I do. Yep. I work on Zoom, and, we can work on so many things that, that helping you to become aware of the parts of you, your temperament and your vision. Where do you want to go in life? What have you been doing in your life? Where do you want, what is it that makes you, I don't know, drink or use, or like you said before, what's all surrounded about that, and let's get some emotions out about it all. It can be very powerful. Zoom also. Yep.
Well, like we say, the shirt that you wear when you're often in the pen.
Yeah, it says "Let it go" on the back. So you can't let it go until you become aware of what you're letting go.
But you help people with letting it go. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kathy, always great talking with you. Neigh, Neigh @atime.com.
Yes. Love to hear from you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And it's great talking with you, and look forward to catching up again soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting. I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes. and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.